Hello, my name is Eva and I run the account Notation is Great on Twitter. So today I'm going to talk about a quite unique type of notation, which is Gonzalo de Baena's organ tablature. You can see an example here. Now, if you've been following my YouTube channel, you might remember a video I made on organ tablatures, which were used in Europe from the late Middle Ages to about Bach's time. But this doesn't really look like it. Okay, so we're going to see and try and find out what Gonzalo de Baena was trying to do here. So, just for some context, Gonzalo de Baena was an organist born in Spain around 1480, but then he made all of his career in the Portuguese court. Okay, and this book, which roughly translates as the art of playing, is his main contribution to music history. And just to give you a kind of a bit of an anecdote, this book was only rediscovered, so to speak, in the 1990s because it had been held, a copy had been held in the library of the Royal Palace in Madrid, but it was classified as something like mathematics or physics or astronomy or something like that, and not music. So it took a while for musicologists to realize that this was indeed music. And in fact, it was an important discovery for us to learn more about the musical life in the Iberian Peninsula in the early Renaissance or late medieval, early Renaissance especially. So basically, what the book consists of is of intabulations for the organ. So basically, an intabulation at the time was a sort of arrangement of a vocal piece for the organ. So here we have some of the most famous composers of the time, Ockeghem, Peñalosa, etc. So these would be arrangements of vocal pieces by these composers for the organ. So, as with other organ books from this time, we're quite lucky that Baena wrote in the book itself some instructions on how to interpret his notation, which also suggests that he was writing mostly for amateurs or for beginners. And this page here is quite interesting. Okay, so here we can see the different manuals of an organ, and we can see that each key is labeled with the name of the note. So the naturals are labeled ABC as per usual, and the accidentals are labeled either with other letters from the alphabet or with signs. And what Baena is saying in this page is you can cut out the names of the notes, sorry, and you can paste them on the keys of your organs so that you can learn where the notes are. And this is quite interesting because I'm teaching the piano to my niece and nephew just now, and they are saying, "Oh, can we, paste post-its with the names of the notes on the keys?" So it's interesting that people have been doing that since the 16th century, at least. And this other page explains meter and rhythm. Okay, so as you can see, the sort of main display in Baena's tablature is this kind of grid. Okay, so basically each square on the grid, if you look at it horizontally, it means the different beats. Okay, so for example, we have the name of a note in the first square followed by 4 empty squares. So this means that note is going to be 4 beats. Okay, so that's if you read the grid horizontally. If you read it vertically, it's also quite self-explanatory. So basically, if two notes appear vertically with respect to each other, it means they're going to be played simultaneously. Okay, and otherwise, if you look at the empty and non-empty squares, you will be able to reconstruct the different voices. So here we have an example of a piece by Antonio de Baena, and it's also perhaps worth noting that, as you can see, the name of the composer appears at the top, but then the name of the work itself appears between the first and the second system. So that's useful to know because it's actually not uncommon in the Middle Ages that the title appears only below the first system of the piece. And I mean, as you can see, so the grid here has three rows, so meaning a 3-part texture. I mean, some of them might be 2, some of them might be 4, etc. And I mean, it's just quite self-explanatory. So I leave you to it, if you want to come up with your own transcription or reading of this piece. So this was my short introduction to the tablature by Gonzalo de Baena. Um, I don't know of any other composers or books that use this notation, so it's a one-off. So this is someone who decided to start his own notation for whatever reason. But again, it's a reminder that the history of notation is perhaps more complex than sometimes we like to think. We maybe go to school or go to music class and we learn contemporary notation, and perhaps sometimes we assume, it was always very clear and evolution was kind of very one-sided. But this is not the case. I mean, at any point you have frictions and you have experiments with notation, and perhaps Baena's tablature is one of those experiments. Which didn't really become successful for whatever reason. Anyway, I hope you've learned something from this video. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.